Welcome to this video review. Today I'm having here a completely new Pulsar Helion second generation XP50. So I think you already know Pulsar. They're the market leader currently in thermal and digital night vision. Also in the US and in Europe, I would say globally. And they have their headquarters in Lithuania, in Europe. And this device is also made in Lithuania. Normally they produce also a lot of their devices in Belarus, from where they originate. And let's speak a little bit more about the Helions. I'm sure you already knew the Helion Generation 1. It was introduced in 2016 at EVA. It was really big news. And now in 2020 there was no EVA due to Corona and the whole crisis which is still going on. We are now in the April of 2020. And the Helion is still a workhorse among all Pulsar thermal imaging scopes, or thermal imaging monoculars. It's also built like a tank. It's really robust and it's meant to be used as often as possible. So it's everything is built for function, not to be as beautiful as, let's say, Axions. So what changed since the first generation? The first generation came out in 2016 and it was a successor of the very successful Quantum series. And Helion, I would say, it was an even greater success than the Quantum, especially due to the BPAC battery system, which I think is a game changer in thermal optics, because all other competitors are still currently producing devices which have internal batteries, which I think it's a big shame, because Pulsar managed to prove in the meantime that with these interchangeable batteries, you really add usefulness to the device. So what's new in the second generation compared to the first generation? So the only visible difference is this blue button. I wish to show both of these two devices, and then I was thinking, why would I show both of these two devices if they're completely the same? There is not a single difference. The difference is here, the number 2 at Helion and the blue button. Everything else is completely the same on the outside. But on the inside, this device got a new sensor. And the new sensor, it's much better because it detects smaller temperature differences. I will come back to this topic when I talk about the sensor itself, but it's really hard to see, but the change is profound when you use the device. But on the outside, you only see that the button is blue, everything else is completely the same. What also changed was the price. So the Helion XP50 first generation costed 4,100 euros, which was a lot of money, but when you saw the optical performance, it was worth every penny. It still is, especially with the latest image boost software update. It's still worth every penny. But with the generation 2, which even has a better sensor, the price was lowered to 3,690 euros. And this is something that I think all the competitors of Pulsar are knocking their heads against the wall, because Pulsar comes out every 4 or 5 years with a new device, which is much better and cheaper. And this is something really counterintuitive in the world of sport optics, because if we look at the classical optics, all the rifle scopes, all the binoculars, every new generation is more expensive. With Pulsar, every new generation is cheaper, and every new generation brings them more customers. So they're widening the pool of their customers with this lowering of price. So the housing itself, if you check the video of the first generation, the XP50 Gen 1, it's made out of plastic, really robust. It has an aluminum part on this side for cooling, even though you can always touch it. Even after 10 hours of operation, it's a little bit warm, it's never hot. It has an IPX7 fully waterproofness, so you can submerge it into water. And it works all the way down to minus 25 degrees Celsius. And all the way up to plus 50. So the minus 25 degrees Celsius, the bottleneck is the display in the eyepiece. So the display in this device is of AMOLED type, and thus it works, because of this reason, it works all the way down to minus 25 degrees. So even in really cold winters, you're still able to use it. The size, approximately 25 centimeters in length, and approximately 5 centimeters in height, and 5 centimeters in width, or 5.5 and 6. So it's almost rectangular. 500 grams of weight, so it's really light. To be honest, the size, it's not that small, but it is very light. And as standard is meant for right-hand use. So left-hand use is not as practical. You're also not able to change this ribbon on the other side like you are with an Axion. The power on takes approximately 3 seconds, so it's not as fast as the Axion, a little bit slower, but it does have a sleep mode, and it has a connectivity with Stream Vision. So Wi-Fi connectivity with a smartphone. Please check our review about the Stream Vision. Still, even today, it's one of the best apps to control the thermal vision devices on the market. And Pulsar is developing this app all the time, so they're in constant development. So it has new features added, I would say, every couple of months. The warranty of this device is 3 years. They will repair it also after the warranty. The costs of such repairs are not really high, and the service is in Europe, so they're really, really fast. If anything goes wrong, if you drop it and smash it and damage it in any way, they are able to repair it, and they're really good at it. What is missing on the outside? There is no turn on indicator, no small LED diode that would show you that the device is turned on. So most of the people, when they push the button to turn it on, they wait for the sound of the first calibration, and then they know that it's turned on, or they look inside of the device until the display is powered on. So the sensor, now we come to the, I would say, to the juicy part, to the main new thing of the new Helion 2. The sensor is still 640 by 480, so the XP sensor. The devices with a smaller sensor have an XQ denominator, and all the XP devices also have the possibility that you're able to remove the lens and exchange the lens for a different one. This is something what the XQ devices are not able to do. So you're able to buy separately 38mm lens or 28mm lens. With both of those lenses, you're getting a wider field of view if needed. So the sensor is 640 by 480, 17 microns is the size of the pixel, and it has a 50 Hz refresh rate. All of these specifications are completely the same to the generation 1. NATD factor is, however, much lower. So it's less than 40 millikelvins. Kelvin is a unit of measurement for the temperature. And what that means, the previous sensor was 60 millikelvins. That means that this device can detect smaller differences in temperature between all the objects you're observing. And what that means for the image, it means that you get a substantially better contrast and you see substantially more details. Because if there is only a 40 millikelvins of difference between temperature of anything what is in your field of view, you will notice that difference. And where is this really important? When you're using this device, and let's say you're looking at red deer, and we all know, okay, the body is hot, you're able to see the body and so on, but then there is a trophy which is cold. And when you're looking at the trophy which is cold, because there is no blood in it, there you see the difference between this device and the previous generation of devices. Because with this device you're able to notice smaller temperature differences. And the image details are much better due to this reason. So Pulsar did a step forward in this aspect, a big step forward. And on a normal day when you're not looking at red deer and so on, and you compare the old XP50 and this one, you will not see a much difference, but on in I would say challenging conditions, you will see the difference. Even though with a new image boost on the previous generation of XP50, they're also great. So now when the XP50s, the previous generation, are going out, a lot of people ask, oh, should I go for the old model, which is now cheaper due to some special discounts that dealers around Europe are giving on them, or should I go with a new device? It's really hard to say, but the new sensor is better. Normally the price on the previous generation is lower, and the image, I would say, image quality and the optical performance there is also very, very good. So it's a tough choice. The calibration on these devices is still manual, semi-automatic, and automatic. That means that every, I would say, 30 seconds or something like that, the image freezes for a short period of time so that the sensor gets recalibrated, so that all the pixels in the sensor get value 0 and you start from scratch again. That means if you're not doing the calibration often enough, that pixels get saturated and you're losing contrast. And I would say that majority of people are just using these devices with an automatic mode for calibration. The display stayed the same, so it's an AMOLED 640 by 480. I would say if you look at the resolutions of the displays in Axions, it would be, I would say, even better if they would change the resolution or if they would upgrade the display as well. Even though when using the device, it's not a big issue. The optical performance. So the lens is 50 millimeters with an 1.2 aperture, and the magnification starts at 2.5 and it goes all the way to 20. So really wide magnification range. Even though everything above 10, it's better if you put the device on a tripod and look at the image on your smartphone. Just stream it with a Stream Vision application to your smartphone. The field of view is 21.8, almost 22 meters at 100 meters. So the field of view is astonishing. And this is also a difference where the XP devices are much better than the XQ devices, the same Helions with the XQ sensor. The field of view is just much, much better on the XP. Range of detection, roughly 1,800 meters. Even though I would say in perfect conditions, you're able to see especially animals as big as red deer, or I would say big wild boars, or even I would say you're able to see them on a longer distance than 1,800 meters. There are 8 color palettes which you're able to choose, and the focusing is done here. So you just turn this to focus the image, and here you're able to do all the diopter settings. If we look at the eyepiece, it has roughly 15 millimeters of eye relief, really a lot, and this is, I would say, one of the main advantages of Helion compared to all other devices on the market, even against their Axions from the same manufacturer. Because if you're using glasses, it's really easy to use this device because of their long eye relief. And also the diopter setting and the whole eyepiece and so on, it's really, I would say, made for the spectacle wearers, for all those who wear glasses. This is, I would say, a big minus from majority of all the competitors and so on. And even the impression, how big is the screen when you're looking into it, the Helions, they excel in this aspect. So if you're a glass wearer, this is, I would say, a prime choice. The menus, you see, there are 5 buttons on top. 1 for the power, 1 for the recording of video, direct record button. This is, I think, a much better solution than on the Axions, even though the Axions are so small that you are not able to put 1 additional button on them. But on Helions, I would say this is perfect. Then you have the menu button. Short press gives you the, I would say, basic menu, where you can set the brightness and contrast. And the long press gives you the advanced menu, where you're able to change the identification mode, you're able to change the Wi-Fi settings, all other important settings which you are not setting every day. What it is true is that because there are 4 buttons in a line, if you're looking into the device, at start, you have to learn to touch these 2, I would say, notches, so that you know on which button you are with which finger. Because there are 4, and you usually only use 3 fingers for these 4 buttons. But you get used to it in a couple of days of use. Internal memory, 16 gigabytes. So really a lot of hours of video and more than 100,000 photos. I would say 8 hours of video constantly. And the Wi-Fi works all the way up to, I would say, 15 meters or something like that. What's really good with the Stream Vision, you're able to put this device, because there are many accessories available for Pulsar devices. They're really good in this aspect. You're able to put it on a stand, which is designed to be used in nature, on raised heights or anywhere else where you hunt. And you're able to put it in a mode where your phone starts to vibrate when an animal comes by and when the device sees the animal. So basically you're able to go to sleep and just let the device look instead of you, and when an animal comes, it will wake you with a vibration. So this is really, on small details like this, you see that this device was designed by hunters for hunters. This is a slogan of Pulsar, and I believe it's one of the slogans which holds more true than others in this industry. Okay, if I do a short summary. So what is really positive about this device? Robustness. It's really made to last. The waterproofness, the buttons and everything, it's made to last. The battery system. This is, I would say, the biggest game changer that came out with Helions. The B-Pack the Helion was the first device to use it. Now they're using it also on trails. They're using it on forward F155 and F455. They use them on their digital night vision rifle scopes and so on. So these batteries are used on many devices. First of all, they are affordable. Let's say if the device costs around 4,000 euros almost, the battery costs 100 euros. And the life of the device is not based on the battery, because with majority of other devices of this type, when the battery dies, if it's internal, you have to send the device back to service, and if the device is, let's say, 5 years old, there is an option that you will not be able to repair it. With Helions, you just buy a new battery, and that's it. The use with glasses. This is a small thing which not a lot of people talks about, but the Helions, they excel in this aspect. If you're wearing glasses, myself personally, I wear glasses, this is the prime choice, because it's so easy to look, to use it with glasses. The display looks really, really big, and it's comfortable to be used. Stream Vision. We are in the 21st century, so connectivity with a smartphone and a really good app is important, especially if you're able to control everything through the app. So Stream Vision is also great. The price point. I would say with 3,690 euros, there are many competitive devices with an XQ sensor, I would say with a 384 by 288 pixel sensors, which cost roughly the same, 3,200 euros or something like that. So I would say they're undercutting the whole market with this price point. You're getting the 640 by 480 sensors with an NATD of 40 microkelvins, so you really are able to see all the details under 4,000 euros. It was, I would say 2 years ago, it would be impossible to imagine. And normally, the software updates. I already explained that this device will live for a really long time, because it's not based on the internal battery, because it has an external battery, which you're able, even if it drains out, you're also able to exchange it in a matter of seconds. And normally when it dies, you just buy a new one, because let's be honest, all batteries in our smartphones, in all our devices, 5-6 years after your purchase, it would be almost a miracle if the battery would still be functioning as normal. But the other part of this longevity of this device is the software updates. Every 2 years or something like that, you can update your device through Stream Vision with a new software, with a new version of software which Pulsar releases, and you get a completely different image and completely different image quality. The previous generation 1, it was just astonishing. We had customers who came to our store. We updated their software. So it was the first update. It was just it was not a minor, it was a big update, and then the image boost update came out. In both cases, people were just amazed. It was like having a totally different device. And the story will, I will say, continue with Gen 2 Helions also in this direction, I'm sure. What could have been done better? Or what is, I went through all the sweet points, what is the sour points? The display resolution, this is something where I think with the Generation 2, Pulsar could have done better. They just left the same display inside. They could have done it better and exchanged it for a bigger resolution, because they have displays in their Xeon devices. Now the displays here are still 640 by 480. It's not a big minus, but it could have been done better. The second thing is, when you look at the Xeon devices, they're really, really beautiful. Because Helions, they're well made, they're robust, they will work. It's a true workhorse for everyday use. But from the aesthetical point of view, the Xeons are much nicer, much more beautiful. So I hope that next generation of Helions will also follow suit. It will be more like, I would say, it's hard to find the right words, but really beautiful. The size and weight, the 500 grams is not much, to be honest, but we all look into the future of when these devices will become even smaller and even lighter. And I would say the last remark, the LED indicator that the device is turned on, this would be also a very nice addition. Because we know that thermal vision devices, they need a couple of seconds to power on. And in those couple of seconds, it's really nice if you see the LED indicator that you did turn on the device and you just need to wait for it to power on. The buttons in one line, 4 buttons. There is some confusion sometimes, but this is, I would say, 2 or 3 days of use, and you get used to it, and there is no confusion whatsoever. This is it. I went through the positives. I went through what could have been done better. All in all, for this price point, it's an outstanding device in terms of optical quality, also in terms of build quality. And I would like to invite you to check our Steam Vision video, see you in that video, or the previous generation of Helion Gen 1 XP50, or any other nice video that we have on this channel. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.